This jollof recipe can serve 20 people, and I'm giving out accurate measurement on how to make this. So keep watching if you want to see this. Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. So to begin, I'll measure out 5 kilograms of chicken. I'm using hard chicken. I'm going to go ahead now, wash it and place it in a pot. To cook the chicken, I have 2 tablespoons of thyme, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, half tablespoon of all-purpose seasoning, chicken seasoning, thumb-sized ginger, 7 garlic cloves and 1 red onion. I'm also going to add some salt and fresh rosemary. So I'm going to chop this up now, add it into the pot, and then add the dry spices as well. So now all the spices are in there. Give this a quick stir and then cover for this to steam cook for about 20 minutes. To get that vibrant red color, you'll need 500 grams of tomato paste. So I'm going to dissolve this in water now and set it aside. I used 2 cups of water to dissolve this. Once you don't finish the tomato paste in the tin, please scoop it out into a container or into a Ziploc bag like so. It is not healthy to leave your unfinished tomato paste in the tin. So what I do is I place it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it until I have need for it next time. So next I'm going to measure out 250 grams of tomato puree. If you're using fresh tomatoes, you need 4 to 6 pieces of fresh tomatoes. For the stew base, you need some shallots. Shallots are quite different from onions. As you can see, shallots are a bit longer and quite sweeter than the regular onions. So you need 4 of that. You need 7 garlic cloves, 1 thumb-sized ginger, Scotch bonnet pepper, and 8 red bell pepper. So next I'm going to take out the seed from the red bell pepper and blend it. But just before I do that, I'm going to quickly check on our chicken. It's been 20 minutes now, so I'm going to stir this around and then add some water. I used 9 cups of water to cook the meat. So now back to the pepper mix. I'm going to blend this now until it is smooth and then pour it into the pot where I'm going to parboil this, including the tomato paste and the tomato puree. I'm cooking with a wide pot, and for even distribution of heat, I'm going to make use of these 2 burners. So once I turn it on, place the pot on it and then pour in the pepper mix. Once I add all the blended peppers, next I'll add the tomato paste. Remember the tomato paste that we dissolved earlier? Add it now and then also add the tomato puree. Everything is in there now. Stir properly to combine and then cover for it to start cooking. Now we have the stew base and the chicken cooking on fire. Next I'll measure out the spices to season the stew. First up, I have 2 tablespoons of white pepper, 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon of curry powder, 2 tablespoons of thyme, 12 negro peppers, also known as uda seed, 4 chicken seasoning or as desired. I also have some bay leaves, half teaspoon of ground cloves and half teaspoon of salt. Next I'll chop up the shallots and set it aside. You can also use a dry shallot, it is just as good. 35 minutes later, our chicken is ready. I'm going to scoop it out of the stock now and sieve the stock and set it aside because we will need it for our jollof rice. Another very important ingredient for your jollof rice is the stock. So you want to make sure your broth is rich to get a rich tasting jollof rice. Next, I'm going to fry the chicken. You can bake this in the oven or in your air fryer, but I want to build flavor. I want to use the oil I used to fry the chicken to cook the jollof rice for additional flavor, and those little things count when making your jollof rice. So add the chicken and fry, and then scoop it out once it is golden brown. So at this point, I check on the stew base and it is coming along really well. What I did here was cook down the tomato puree, the paste and the pepper mix before frying. So at this point, I'm going to add the oil that I used to fry the chicken and stir everything together. Now when it comes to oil, I cannot give you an exact measurement, but the amount I used for this recipe was just right. You need enough oil to fry your stew base, and then when it is ready, you can skim off the excess oil from the top. So now I'm going to add the shallot and all the ingredients, including the seasoning cubes. Give this a quick stir and then cover for it to start frying. So in between, you want to keep stirring to make sure it doesn't burn. So at this point, I'll weigh out the rice, and I'm using 3.5 kg of the long grain parboiled rice. Next, I am going to wash this, and to wash it, I like to use boiling water, very hot water. Soak it in that hot water for about 7 minutes, and then come back after 7 minutes to wash it with salt very well to take out any starch on the rice. Now you can also parboil this, but make sure you know your timing when it comes to parboiling your rice. You don't want it to be soggy. The stew is ready now. You can see all the oil floated to the top already, and it is looking properly fried. So at this point, I like to take out some of the stew base and set it aside. The reason I do that is after cooking your rice, when the rice is done, if your rice is looking pale at that point, you can now go ahead and add a bit more stew to the rice, and it also adds added flavor to the rice as well. Or you may have excess stew. That's an opportunity for you to take out some and save it in your freezer for next time. So at this point, I'm going to add the washed rice, give this a quick stir, and if at this point you taste and you think you need a little bit more salt or seasoning, this is the best time to adjust all the adjustments you need. Seasoning jollof rice when it is already cooked is not the best because it doesn't get into the rice. At this point, I'm going to add the chicken stock. Now when it comes to chicken stock, you want to add just until the rice and the liquid in a pot is at the same level. You get what I mean? Yes. You don't want the water to be higher than the rice, and you don't want the rice to be lower than the water. Everything should be at the same level. Now cover this and simmer for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, I'll come back now, stir again, and then cover with foil paper. What you need to cook your jollof rice is not water. You need steam. So cover this to trap the steam in there, and then cover it up so it can do its thing. When I mean it's not water, it doesn't mean you don't need water at all for your jollof rice. Of course you need a bit of water, but not too much. "35 minutes into this, I'm going to now check on the rice, and I was cooking on medium heat. So at this point, I'm going to give this a good stir so that everything is well combined. Now, if you find the Uda seed, take it out. The job is done. And then you guys, can you smell this from the screen? Just tell me you can smell it. It was nose blinding. Color was check, taste was check, everything was on point. Also, if you think your rice is looking pale, now is the time to add some of that stew that you set aside. I also like to add some onions and some tomatoes, and then finally some butter. Butter will give your jollof rice a very nice taste and shine as well. So now once everything is well melted in, give this one final stir and our jollof rice is ready. So yeah, this is our rice. I know this video was lengthy, but I hope it was worth every single second of your time. See you guys in my next one. Bye.